And over on the other side of the map, we do have the Vietnamese mastermind himself. It's the Red Zerg, MeomaikA.
You know, of course, I believe our observer Insano there is a rather big fan of Seither, and I think he jumped ahead of the gun just for a moment, and he wanted to, you know, he was trying to make a prediction there maybe with that little 1-0 on the score, just for a second before he fixed it, but no doubt it's going to be a hard-fought match here, and, you know, it's just exciting. We talked about how he cast them the other day in ANZ Champs, and cool to see the rematch. And you know, all the questions are, what is Meo gonna do? He's the one who has to ask the questions of Seither's play. He's got to find those weaknesses and those openings, and our eyes are kind of glued to his production tab and his style. It's going to be 4 Zerglings off a spawning pool first to start things off, but nice quick SCV coming out across the map. He's going to see that it's spawning pool first. So what we're going to already see at the very beginning of this game is just that Seither is going to be forced to leave that Reaper at home to defend the Zerglings. Meo going to kind of hide the Zerglings, no doubt, and probably won't commit them into the Reaper, but already he's just stopping the Reaper from coming to his side of the map, and that makes it a little bit more delayed of when the follow-up scouting happens. Already these Zerglings actually hiding from that SCV. I think he wants the SCV to come up on creep looking for a Roach Warren, and he's hoping to snipe it, but the SCV is not committed just yet. Seither just really hanging outside the base and saying, those Zerglings, that's odd.
Yeah, I think especially with that hatch timing as well, he's going to be somewhat aware that that's probably not hatch first. And unfortunately, he has left that a little bit too long. It's the full surround. And regardless of whether the SCV runs up onto creep or not, you will see it picked off nicely by MeomaikA. So small edges. You'll like to see it. Seither finishing up his CC. He's actually sent his Reaper out on the map, so this weird timing of hiding the Zerglings and biding his time has actually put MeomaikA in a position where at least he is able to avoid the Reaper with those links. The CC will be going up, so he won't be delaying that or anything of that nature, but could make use of them. But instead, he chooses not to move up towards that natural, and he's going to fall back towards his side of the map. It's interesting that you mentioned that MeomaikA is the one who needs to answer questions here, because watching Seither, it's been a bit of a mixed sort of play from the man. He has sort of, in some series, been exactly very standard, playing that macro style, really building up massive armies and sort of outmaneuvering his opponent. And then in some series, like I've seen him play against Probe, he seems like he is forced to go for aggression, or he feels like pressure to do so. This series, though, that's something I do love to see. You do see the very early fusion core coming in there.
You know, I think Seither wishes he could just sit back against Probe, but I think there's a level of respect that gets demanded just by Probe and how consistent he is. These Hellions, of course, going to poke forward. They back off. There is a very quick evolution chamber, which he does see. And the thing is, Meo, I mean, he loves the fast melee. Against any other player, you might think Carapace, but, oh, man. Nice pickoffs. This is well worth it. Just gets rid of the first few Hellions on the map. That's a good start to things because we are seeing a fusion core. So it's going to be Hellions into a battlecruiser to follow up. Seither has showed he really enjoys the kind of not as common style, which is going Hellion battlecruiser and then teching on up into bio. Not continuing the battle mech style as often as some other players. Ooh, good wall off.
The Lings are going to make it through, though, and pick off a couple of these SCVs, and not to mention the fact that just a little group of Lings are enough to not only kill 3 SCVs, but also keep the Hellions at home, keep the pressure off MeomaikA as he moves on towards that third base. And this time, it's not Hydras, it's straight in towards the Spire for MeomaikA. So a different look than I've seen him go for.
I really like it. I think it's fantastic. You know, he's going to scout with this Overseer as well. The quick lair gives Meo the scouting, and he says, check it. I see a fusion core. I know a battlecruiser's on the way. I got a quick Spire. That's amazing versus that. Because, I mean, mutas aren't the best at killing a battlecruiser, but they're such a flexibly, you know, useful and powerful unit. You're almost certainly going to see just a pack of mutas come out, push the BC off the map. If it teleports across, it's a one-way trip. It goes down. And you also see the stim upgrading behind this. You know it is bio. Where other Zerglings will run away, Meos will pursue these Hellions to either victory or defeat. In this case, it looks like solid micro from Seither. Does take out all those Zerglings. And, you know, just this constant pressure, though, Meo's ability, or sorry, not ability so much as willingness to keep attacking where other players would pull back, it forces a lot of APM out of the player. It just keeps pulling your attention around. And, you know, an individual fight can go a little bit in the favor of Seither here or there, but it's easy to start stacking up mistakes or small inefficiencies here or there. You know, things end up just getting delayed a little because you're busy looking at your units all the time. And it's actually going to be Corruptors straight off the bat and straight into an incredibly fast +2 melee. This is all just high damage glass cannon ground units for Meo, plus Corruptors to counter the BC. But he's actually got a really good economy behind it. So I kind of like what I'm seeing from Meo. He's got creep spreading out. He's droning harder than we're used to seeing. And he should be able to get rid of this battlecruiser with minimal damage.
That's kind of crazy. That's like, you know, he's going into flyer attacks as well. It's what, like a 700, 800 mineral and gas investment just to be able to deal with this battlecruiser already. Meanwhile, he's going for that 4th base, so he wants to try to stop this pressure before it even really gets started. And exactly like you said, he's going to go for the links to be able to deal damage. He's always been quite good going for those run bys. After getting this battlecruiser out on the map already for Seither, he's starting to float his 3rd CC into position, but you do see the Corruptors starting to poke out.
The Corruptors are just chilling at the 3rd. He's brought one Corruptor over here, but I mean, Meo pulled every Queen to defend that and showed the Corruptors, like, showed one, but he's missing injects right now. This is such an odd response. The Corruptors are there to shut down the battlecruiser. Instead, he does lose an Overlord or two. He misses some injects. And the Corruptors are just kind of chilling at the 3rd. So I thought he was trying to hide it, to try and run in, maybe do the caustic spray, you know, on a building, take down a command center by surprise. An odd choice there from Meo, but I mean, macro-wise, he's still looking great. Baneling speed's on the way, 4th base. He's got a lot of Zergling Baneling in production, and it looks like he really just wants to go for a mass of Ling Bane, Corruptors to clean the Metavacs and just take the healing out of the air for Seither.
Yeah, it's an interesting approach. We'll see how it works out for him. He's, you know, got some decent creep spread, but not really as quick as you would see for some other players. He's building up a lot of energy on the Queens, so maybe as we did see him maneuver the Queens over to deal with the BC, he wants to be able to save up a bit of that extra energy for the transfuse. And he's actually going to grab himself a 5th as well, so a lot more passive since those first couple of Ling run bys from Meo this time around. He is really just sort of sitting back, and now this first drop starting to come out. I feel like if the Corruptors don't push this one away, like aren't in position to be able to deal with the drop, it's like he's really been not responsive up against the BC as well as the drops with the Corruptors. This time he does try to get it over there, but a little bit too late.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit of a missed opportunity, but I mean, there's Overlords pushing down the edges, the creep spreading out. I mean, this is something, it's so rare to see Meo kind of consistently spread creep, because normally he's more focused on just attacking into his opponent's base all the time, but he's really setting up for the big game here, and I like that he is just continuing upgrades. That +1 carapace, normally carapace, I mean, it's the most important thing against Marines and Marauders, just for your survivability, and that drop actually finds a hole in the vision. And it goes between the creep and the Overlord, so it's not going to be spotted to the last minute. Corruptors are way far on the other side of the map. I mean, they're just going to find a few Overlords. It's not really big damage, but it's just annoying to deal with. I guess what I'd point out is that the Corruptors, sometimes they're way better than Mutalisks in a frontal fight because they're so tanky. Each one has 2 armor and a lot more hit points. 80 more hit points, 2 armor versus no base armor. Nice Widowmine drop attempt. Basically, they can tank Widowmine shots and Marine shots. So sometimes you'll fly your Corruptors straight over the bio and try to drag those Widowmine shots into their own army, get the friendly fire going. And I'd like to see a little bit of that as the big fights happen. So keep your eyes out for that as the game progresses. But for now, these Widowmines just being really annoying, keeping Meo busy.
The thing is, though, that in a lot of these TVZs, I've noticed that Seither's quite good with his mine placement and just being able to spread out his units and try to have the most efficient trades up against the Banelings and the Lings in towards the ground armies of his opponents. So, you know, I'm keen to see if this Corruptor style is going to be good enough to sort of break through this more standard composition. He hasn't quite got the mines in position just yet as this fight comes together.
Few of those mines do get focused down. 2 of them barely burrowing, get some nice shots off though. And a lot of the Ling Bane goes in deep, doesn't really find the mark. And I think one of the real powers of Corruptor Ling Bane is while the Ling Bane's trading with the bio, if your Corruptors can be eliminating the Metavacs, that's huge. But the Metavacs were pulled back there. They were far behind the bio and the mines. And Meo ended up losing a lot of the Ling Bane. The Corruptors weren't really able to get their value while that happened. And that's something that's a really important part of making this work. So he's got to find better engagements. He's going to go again.
I thought that those mines were going to really connect there. He is pulling the bio back behind the mineral line there, and it does seem like most of the medevacs have gone down now. So this is where the Lings really do start to shine, but there's just quite enough Marines and not quite taking out the command center, barely surviving there, and the repair is just enough for Seither to stabilize. So this is the thing. I'm kind of concerned for Meo, right? Because it feels like even when Seither's not getting the dream engagement or anything like that, like he's had mines unburrowed, Meo's really not trading very well at the moment.
Well, he's not creating chaos at all. He's played a really defensive style here, which is very different. And I really would have loved him to just, sit back, build another 10 drones, go to ultras. But he's trying to force the issue here. He's taking one-directional engagements into Seither's setup. Seither sees him with the sensor towers at a time. He spreads his units out, and these just aren't well-chosen fights for Meo. He's tried to force the issue. Seither's really absorbed it. Now he said, okay, I've taken out so many of your units. It's my turn. I've got equal worker count. I've got as many bases as you. I'm going to start pushing, drop in the main, massive Widow Mine spread on the south, and Meo doesn't have a lot to work with. He's got 90 workers, but only a small number of Ling Bane. He gets a few good connections, but he's got to clear this whole army. If he can't hold on to this, he's going to get worn down in this game.
It's just ridiculous. It's the same thing that we've seen time and time again for Seither. It's just little groups of bios spread out so far ahead, as well as these mine positionings that are just making it so impossible to trade efficiently with these small standard sort of Zerg army compositions. The Zerglings and the Banelings, he's never able to quite get the value in those money Bane hits that he's looking for. And even if there is just only a couple of bio units left over for Seither, that's enough to get the job done, and he's going to move up 1-0 in this series.
Yeah, nice win there for Seither. And, we said the questions, Meo's got to pull something out to really disrupt Seither in some way. And, they sometimes say the cheesiest thing a cheeser can do is play a macro game, really catches your opponent off guard. If you're known for non-stop aggression being in your opponent's face, just pulling it back a bit. He's still active with the Zerglings, hunting down the Hellions and so on was good, but it did feel like Meo was a bit out of his element in that game. Wasn't the normal flavor. The Corruptors, not dealing with the battlecruiser at the start. I felt like there was a chance to grab the momentum. If you can just shut down that battlecruiser, run away with the game, I think you'd be in a fantastic position. But a few issues kind of kicking in there. Not quite, I think being comfortable in this scenario and feeling like he needed to make a play. I think just seeing the fast fourth command center for Seither, it seemed to kind of pull the trigger. I was like, I gotta do something about this. And we've seen him take amazing engagements with Ultralisks. I wish he waited for that Ultra Tech before he really tried to force it.
I don't know, it's just kind of weird. Like, I don't want to diss the build too much because I'm a little bit out of my element in the ZVT, like the matchup itself. But I feel like if you're going to commit that heavily to Corruptors, why not utilize them to be able to shut down some of that aggression in terms of the battlecruiser, in terms of some of those drops. And exactly like you said, I feel like there just wasn't enough pressure on Seither at any point to really put him in an awkward position. Even this fight over towards the base here, I feel like even if he does pick off this CC, I feel like Seither's not in the worst position in the world anyway. He's moving through this game quite nicely. He was getting his upgrades. He was playing that more sort of standard style and being able to macro up into that position where he's just got this absolutely ridiculous army that just trades so much more efficiently than anything Zerg can put together.
Absolutely. Can't agree with you anymore there. I mean, Meo looks best when he finds a unique moment when he can really use that power. And even when he's behind, take some of the greatest defensive ambush style engagements. He's best when he's kind of waiting in the grass and I think ambushing his opponent, pouncing on his prey. Didn't find it there. Seither was able to just really take up a defensive stance, macro his way through to victory. But it's only game one, and hopefully Meo can shake that one off. This is a very important map, of course. Both players 1-1 in their group right now, and we've got to kind of see who can get through. So here we go. Map 2, Pillars of Gold, is underway. Let's find out if Meo is going to go back to his very aggressive roots.
I think this was the map where we did see Meo go for the Hydras last time around. So I'm keen to see if he's going to stick to this bit of a stranger spy tech into the Corruptors or go back to something that worked decently for him before.
right, well, up here in the top right-hand side, it's map number 2, Pillars of Gold. Let's see if you can make the comeback. It's Meo.
And over on the other side of the map, one of the big hitters in the Oceanic region, he's up 1-0 in this series. It is Seither.
I want to see Seither face a bit more of adversity this match. As both a Meo fan and a Seither fan, I want to see Seither kind of pull himself out of a dicier position, you know, or at least have to, right? I want to see him really get a bit more tested. I think one of the biggest strengths of the best Terran vs. Zerg players in the world in the last couple of months, where some of the greats have started to really become unstoppable. The innovations, the Marus. I mean, Clem in the online scene has been super dominant in Europe as well. It's their ability to absorb punch after punch. Their Zerg opponents force, you know, Zerglings in multiple bases, Banelings rolling in, the Zerg getting a massive worker advantage almost inevitably, right? When enough Banelings roll into command centers. But it's the ability for the Terran to kind of calmly weather all that and often win with one giant push across the map where they say, okay, all right, you've built an economy advantage, but I've been taking efficient fights. I've been spreading this bio out all game, and I'm going to do, you know, a 130, 140 supply army push across the map that the Zerg just cannot stop. And, you know, I want to see Seither kind of have to dig deep in that sort of situation here as well. Hoping he is going to get a little bit tested. So far, doesn't look too crazy. There is a pool first, but no Zerglings being built, sorry, out of that. That is actually a hatch first, but a bit of a faster spawning pool there from Meo.
Yeah, and it's not just sort of absorbing all of those attacks as well. I do like to see the Terran players who do go and put the pressure back on the Zerg, even when they are getting attacked, even when they are under pressure, being able to get some Hellion run-bys, being able to go for those key drops that be able to keep you hanging in the game and trading off with your opponent. That's a great thing about the ZV2 matchup. It's like both players always have tools to be aggressive and ways to sort of be able to keep your opponent honest and split up your opponent's focus.
So much of that attention game being so apparent here. It's why it's so fun to watch the push and pull. You see the map control, you know, the Terran trying to cut into the creep spread, trying to find attack and harassment avenues, the Zerg trying to slowly spread that infestation across it. Always fun to see, and my lord, that is a quick lair. I'm not sure if he got a glimpse of the lair with the Reaper. It looked like he saw it, but did not quite get vision there. He was close, didn't quite see it. And a nice quick second gas going down. So this could be a quick Nidus Worm. It could just be quick Mutas. I think it's the Hydra build. I think this is one of his Hydra builds. Anyone else would never be Hydra
other Zergs, and then Peek's just taking his mouse and he's running across one of the Zerg units and he's going, oh no, hold on.
Wait a second, all standard rules go out the window. This is Meo, and my lord, he's got OV speed. He cancels the Evo after it's spotted. Who knows what's in store? I mean, don't try and guess what's in the present. We can shake it around. Is it heavy? Is it light? You know, you're a kid there on Christmas morning trying to figure out what's inside the box, but with Meo, it's always a surprise, and it looks like it's just going to be a Queen Zergling drop. So he's going to get a bunch of Queens into the Overlords, bring those over to drop, and just flood Zerglings, elevate Zerglings into the main. The Queens are really tanky, and the main thing is they can deal with any individual like Banshee or Liberator really well. So it's actually quite nice. I think I'm not sure if Seither, saw the Overlords. He's got a pretty good setup so far. And oh no, the Reaper uncontested in the main. Meo will deal with that, but the Hellions well set up at home for now. As long as he keeps his Hellions alive and protected, he's going to be fine. Hellions can beat unlimited numbers of Zerglings, but if they ever get surrounded, Seither's going to just have nothing. Like, you cannot defend with just SCVs and a couple of Marines and a Liberator. It's all about the Hellions managing to stay safe here.
So this drop does start to load up. The Overlords meeting together as they continue to load up these Zerglings into the drops. Meanwhile, there's another base going up for Meo. And he's not droning behind this, but the Hellions going in towards the natural. He's losing a lot of drones. Meanwhile, the counterattack straight into the main pick.
There's nothing at home. There's nothing at home for either of them. They've both got all their units on the other side of the map. I mean, it's just SCVs against Zerglings. Literally, 2 Marines go down immediately. All he's got is SCVs and these Hellions, but Meo's got no mining whatsoever right now. The SCVs are winning the fight in the main base. Meo actually has to pick the Zerglings up into the Overlord. if those Hellions come back, maybe they can make it happen. It's a Queen versus a Lib fighting for control over Meo's base. This is absolute chaos, and I really have no idea who's going to come out on top here.
Yeah, you do still have the queens that are so tanky up here in towards the main on top of the production, but none of that production's really been picked off. 30 workers going down for Seither, so he's down to 13. As for Meo, he's got 20 and those 3 hatches, but continuing to do damage. There's no answer for the queens. Nothing can really pack enough of a punch just yet to be able to deal with that. Maybe the tank could be able to do something to those queens, but it's getting attacked down by all of the lings, and down it goes. A couple more lings joining up, and the last couple of SCVs starting to go down now for Seither. This queen drop, absolute madness. Seems like it's enough to push Meo over the top here.
It's so close. If he can get the Vikings, it will be enough. He's still got a lot of transfuse there. But remember, there's 2 Vikings. There's another Hellion building. Meo is mining right now on 1 base. So he is rallying Zerglings quite quickly. He's building more Queens. If he can manage to keep these Queens alive, if he can, I really think he's got to get his Zerglings in. The wall is down. If he can join Zerglings up with this, Meo should be able to win. He's focusing on the Queens, but the Zerglings, they're distracted at the natural. I mean, that's going to be good if he gets the command center. But otherwise, if he loses these Queens without syncing up his units, I think this is going to be a hold for Seither.
Yeah, but he's got 1 worker. So, end of the day, I don't know what he's really going to be doing with that. He's lost absolutely everything. It would be like the biggest participation award in the world. They're just handing those kind of things out nowadays. But the biggest participation medal, you know, congratulations, you're here. You're in the game, technically.
Don't forget the power of mules. I mean, yeah, 23 SC drones is too many. The Lib is finally cleared up on the other side. So yeah, it should be a little bit too much by the looks of it. The Queen Zergling attack, I mean, this is something Seither had no idea was happening, right? There's no way his Hellions would have been on the other side of the map if he had known there was a flood of Zerglings and Queens coming. I love the defense, and, you know, you can stay in here and try to fight it out. He's not actually building SCVs, which tells us either, oh, he starts an SCV. You're kind of wondering, like, do you just pull across the map? You don't have a good game sense of where you are, but I kind of like the idea of just trying to do a landed Viking Marine Hellion assault. Pull the boys, go all in, and see if you can break Meo.
Yeah, and you're seeing Meo, he's still building a couple of units. Now he's starting to drone up a little bit more heavily, but earlier it was just sort of that trickle approach with the drones. You don't want to get caught off building too many drones. There could be, you know, just a couple of Terran units that could give you a little bit of trouble, but with the Overlord in towards the main and the continued pressure out from Meo, he's trying to keep tabs on whether Seither's going to try and go aggressive at any point. Does see a reasonable force there from the Terran, and he's continuing to scout with these speed Overlords, making sure he's not caught off guard and he's going to be able to react by the time the Terran does start moving across the map.
Yeah, Seither's actually going to try to recover here in the macro game. So yeah, 3 SCVs versus 39. I'm not too good at numbers, but yeah, I think you might be right about this being an unrecoverable situation.
Look, one of those numbers I could count on my hands, and once we get up past the 2 hands, it's getting a little difficult for even me to quantify that.
That's a lot of hands, isn't it? That's like 7, 8 hands or something. This is, yeah, that's okay. That's like 4.
We need a couple of the production guys to chuck their hands in to be able to count the drones as well. It's not just me and you, Pig.
Of course, you know, bringing up my amazing math skills while Insano did show us the lovely graph, which showed us the exact income disparity, which is about, you know, about a factor of 13 times more income for Meo right now. And the Vikings going to land in the main base, not something you see every game against Zerg. And there's a reason why Queens and Zerg say, get out! And he's got to run. Oh, one of those Vikings looks like it might go down. But a desperate situation. This is just a good play here, honestly, by Meo. He's done a crazy attack. It's, you know, he hit it well enough. He showed the Evo. He canceled the Evo. And I think that's always a really good thing. You know, if you see an evolution chamber, you think upgrade. You think there's at least a few minutes before my opponent plans to attack me. He then just holds down the unit key, goes for a gigantic all-in attack. It's the last thing you're expecting. So, you know, Meo sold some information early on, caught Seither off, and now when we go into game 3, Seither's going to have a lot of thoughts like, okay, what's coming this game? You know, what do I have to keep my eyes out for? What's going to be next on the radar? And the moment Seither starts maybe, you know, being a bit more careful, being a bit afraid to just kind of, you know, just build his SCVs, to run out with his Hellions, Meo can start to take some more economic risks. He can start to sit back a little bit more at some moments and kind of, you know, play both sides of the coin. Because if you're always just super all in and aggressive, your opponent's prepared for it. And at the same time, if you're always just sitting back and giving them a lot of space, they're also going to be able to prepare for that. But now MeomaikA, he brings in some variants, and he's looking really good here in map number 2.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen anybody else go for that sort of queen link drop. So I think this is surely the final push. You do see the muted start to swoop in as well. The full links around. Only that one medivac you can't really pick up and get out of there. And finally, Seither is going to GG out. He was pretty much dead in the water for quite a while, but that gives him, playing out that game, forcing his opponent to sort of exert themselves a little bit more, and maybe gives him a little bit more thinking time heading into this next game.
Yeah, I think if Seither survived there with even 7, 8 SCVs, he's actually totally fine. If he could just re-establish control of his main. But there is a nightmare situation. You've built 6 Hellions, you've swapped your factory off your reactor, you can't really build any more defense against the Zerglings. If you're not in position, it's impossible to deal with that. So honestly, just well played there by Meo. Manages to find the opening in the armor, and it's cool. I mean, that build was popular a few years ago. I always think of True when I see that build, just like, hey, Queens, the tankiest, most annoying unit for you to deal with in the game. They're going to run across the map, and we're just going to try to create a really uncomfortable situation for you to deal with.
Yeah, dude, Queens are broken as hell. Like the fact that the only reason why they're reasonably fair is the fact that usually you can't move them out past your main base, but being able to weaponize them in your opponent's base, that's got to be annoying to deal with once they're dropped in towards the main there. So it's an interesting one. It's clear Meo has just a wealth of crazy little attacks that he can be throwing at his opponents. So if you see that, I feel like, he's already someone who's not really too unafraid to stick to his guns and sort of play his game in the first place. So I'm keen to see if he's going to just continue to do that. And I don't think you can really necessarily preempt what Meo's going to do. I think you do just have to kind of rely on the fundamentals of scouting as well as you can and play your own game. And hopefully it'll be able to pull you through.
Indeed. Make sure you try and see what's coming before it eventuates, but there will be a very short delay between a push moving out and getting to the base, because we are going into Submarino, my favorite new map. Short rush distance, cool aesthetic to it, and one we've seen some kind of wild games on so far. I definitely think you're on 1-1, life's on the line in the series, very important series as well, so I think Seither here is going to play a lot more careful and just be very methodical with making sure that if there's a moment where he's like, I'd like to go dive with Hellions right now, I think he's going to second guess and always kind of opt for the, let's keep the Hellions at home, or let's double check, make sure there's no Zerglings about to attack. We're probably going to see that Reaper diving for information wherever it can, trying to check what the follow-up is. And I like that Meo kind of showed things and then changed them in that last game. I want to see more of that.
Yeah, look, Submarine, it might be like a short rush distance map, but the thing is, I've seen a lot of Terran players really weaponize the terrain on this map with tanks and being able to siege up certain bases. So I think if Seither's able to, put Meo in a bit of an awkward position, throw him off kilter, that is something that I would like to see. At the same approach, though, I haven't seen Seither building as many tanks in this matchup, really relying on that Marine and medevac and mine sort of style. So I wouldn't mind if he's just going to pump out a few tanks here and try to set himself up a sort of aggressive position and be able to contain the absolute craziness. And I feel like if he's aggressive and he's going to put himself on the front foot, it's going to give him not only the information to try to work out what's happening, but also be able to sort of play his game behind that, rather than sort of be in his shell and react to everything.
Yeah, we'll see exactly how that goes. And so many mind games, such a power to unpredictability in StarCraft. Even the most solid defensive players, they always level up when they find a way to just add extra variance to their play to keep their opponent guessing. There's a lot of feinting. There's a lot of power to being unpredictable. I think sometimes we've seen some of the greatest StarCraft 2 players on a fundamental level never reach those championships. They've made it far in tournaments. They've been great. But it's the fact that they're too predictable, where I feel like players who aren't as good at the fundamentals, but are more strategic, who are taking advantage of them, finding ways to counter them, to cut corners, are often beating them in these tournaments. So we're going to see how it goes here. Craziness up against stability, Terran versus Zerg, and Submarino is beginning. So let's dive right in. All right, up here in the top left-hand side of the map. It's going to be a little tense after things went awry in the last one. It's Seither. Playing for the Mind Freak.
Over on the other side of the map, we do have the red Zerg. He's looking to advance here. It is MeomaikA. You know, what's a little interesting is that, you know, we saw that champs game between these two players. Obviously, I keep going back to it, but I think MeomaikA went for that +1 Ling into the Hydra style both times against Seither and wasn't able to take a single game. And even though in a couple of situations he looked decent in that series, I think it was pretty one-sided and Seither was able to take that away. And now you're seeing MeomaikA, he's come into this important game here with completely different builds. He's gone for that Corruptor Ling Bling style that you know, didn't look so great in the first game, and then he's gone for that Queen drop. So really mixing things up after not having a successful series with his other style that even he used against Azura in some of those group games as well.
Yeah, definitely. Didn't work out for him, so he's shifted gears. Always admire the ability for a player to do that. It's scary to do. Sometimes you got your favorite plays, your favorite tools, and it's always scary to go and do something which you just, you know, you're not as practiced at it. You don't have as much success on the ladder. But having the confidence to do that and just say, you know what, I'm going to do what I think gives me the best chance of winning. Always a good choice. And hey, 4 Zerglings, Roach Warren already down. Are they going to try and stop this SCV? I think at least 2 of them will. Yeah. Meo,
yeah,
you know, it's so funny. Most players want to get across the map with the Lings, but Meo is like, I am obsessed with just denying information and tricking you. And he does this even when he's not doing the Roach attack follow-up. So it doesn't give you a tell in of itself, right? It's just good information denial. And with no Zergling speed, we're expecting just Roaches coming across the map because it's Meo. I mean, he might even commit hard and rally slow Zerglings as well. He's definitely going to commit quite a lot to a pressure on the front. Could turn into a full-blown all-in.
Yeah, it could, but by the same token, I've seen Meo in multiple matchups build like a little squad of Roaches and go and put some pressure on and then just go straight into drones and start to macro up. And it really throws a lot of his opponents off, not expecting such quick drones to be coming out, such quick Roaches to be able to be coming out. They start to freak out. They think that it's an all-in. They start to go hard on the defense, and in the whole while, Meo's just droning up behind it. And I'm seeing trickle drones in. He hasn't fully committed to going hard into that dronage, but now you do start to see the Roaches come out, and I'm really keeping an eye on what Seither's response is going to be to this. He's already dropping a bunker.
Yeah, I mean, he sees it. There was a drone following those Roaches, and I remember my brain was racing. I was like, what is that for? And it's like, I think it was just an accident. I think it got rallied in as if it was one of the Roaches. Wanted to be one of the boys, but, you know, did get sent back home. The Roaches and the Zerg's going to come forward. That bunker, it's almost finished. Oh, if Meo can focus the SCV down, that'd be a nice start.
Yeah, but he's just droning behind this. Like, it's exactly the same thing as I've seen. Literally, Meo has done this against Zerg, against Protoss, and now against Terran, where he goes for a quick Roach Warren, and then he just puts pressure on his opponent, and Seither is absolutely shitting himself at the moment. You know, he's getting that Cyclone out. He's sitting at the top of his ramp, wondering when the rest of the reinforcements are coming in. But Meo's just chilling behind this. He's building the drones like crazy.
I love that command center spotting the Overlord, but he actually didn't keep it there long enough and just barely doesn't finish that Overlord. So Meo happy to pull back here. You force a Cyclone. Great unit for picking off slow Roaches on your side of the map. Doesn't have that much other utility, and oh, look at this. He's already preparing a lot more Zerglings and Ling speed, and this is one of the big threats behind this. And this is why you're so afraid as a Terran, because the Zerg can just drone, take a hatch, go to mutas, whatever they want. They can also turn those couple of Roaches into Ravagers and just flood Zerglings. And if you get caught with too many units on the low ground, you're in big trouble. So even though Seither's starting to mine from his expansion, he wants to see, hey, what's coming out of these hatcheries right now? Is it drones or is it Zerglings? It is actually a mix right now. So we're going to see an attack from Meo, but he's got a third on the way and he's not actually committing to it.
Yeah, so again, he's trying to throw Seither off really hard. He does spot out that Banshee early on. You did see that Cyclone on the high ground, but just surrounding this CC, doing a lot of damage to the SCV count down here towards the natural. You can see Seither, he didn't commit to actually moving up towards that low ground like he did say. He was still very much on the defensive, but Meo, it's not really much of a commitment from him for that attack. Just a couple of Ravagers that were morphed in. He's got a couple of Links as a follow-up as well to see if he can do some further economic damage and even might catch this Cyclone if he's lucky.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get a few more SCVs, that'd be nice. But the thing is, losing a total of 7 SCVs now across these 2 attacks, I mean, it's annoying. And don't get me wrong, Mio, he's been doing a good job of droning behind it. So, like, individual fights cost inefficient for Mio, but he's disrupting, he's forcing breaks in the rhythm of Seither. And he still does have a decent worker lead, but, he's giving things up as well. We do have nice tech complexity for Seither. 2 Banshee's going to be a great harassment force. He's got 14 Marines and a tank up, keeping him safe at home. But, the upgrades, actually, Evo's faster for Mio. As long as he can defend the Banshees nicely, he'll be good. But I say that, and I say, well, he's actually only got 2 queens right now. He doesn't even have a queen in the main base. So these Banshees could get a lot of damage done.
Yeah, this is the big comeback mechanic for Seither, really. There is a couple of spores in some decent positions, but that's not really necessarily going to stop these Banshees from evening up this worker count, which Seither is starting to race up in workers now that there hasn't been a counterattack for a little while. Zergling's running back home and not really applying pressure to the Terran in the meanwhile. As the Banshees, they pick off a couple of drones. He hasn't really weaponized that massive, opportunity that he's got. Maybe fearing that there might be a little bit more queen pressure and that there's decent spore coverage. But Seither's going to move those Banshees around towards the top side of the map in the meanwhile. Try and see if he can pop into the third while he continues to macro up, and he's really trying to get himself into that same position that he's gotten himself into a number of times in the TVZ here, where he's got that massive 100+ supply arming and he's going to be able to go across the map.
No spore on the third. This is so greedy from Mio, and he's going to get punished massively for it. There isn't even cloak, and yet the Banshee's finding a lot of kills. They're even going to get a queen here as well. 1 Banshee does fall, but I think well worth it for Seither, who's slowed Mio down. The worker count tied up, and I do think Mio has missed a little bit of an opportunity to explode into the workers. So now he's caught droning, but the attack's already on his doorstep. He's not into mutas. He hasn't seen this attack coming across the map, and I think Seither is about to reassert control over this match. This tank position on the high ground is going to be so beautiful.
Yes, there's a little pack of Marines down there towards the low ground and keeping a couple of Marines back just in case there is a wraparound from a couple of Zerglings starting to pick off some queens, starting to push any creep spread back as he's going to push himself in towards this third base. More and more queens going down, and Mio's just trying to buy time for these links and mutas to come out, but he really doesn't have enough here to be able to hold this attack.
The tanks are now marching on in. They're going to get the far forward siege. Mio just not tight enough on his production in the follow-up. The Banshee's so good at slowing him down with their rotate. Such careful harassment. Seither finds the big damage. Will he lose the tanks? Yes, he will, but not before all of his drones have gone down on this third base. Seither maybe chasing those drones a little too far. I would have liked him to keep these tanks alive and just send a few Marines after them. He's going to lose a bunch of his technical units, but I think the Marine count is still so flexible. And these mutas, they're doing what they can, but there's just not enough units for Mio.
That's the GG. Unfortunately, Mio being caught there, trying to go for that dronage, trying to go for the switch into the mutas. And we've seen that a couple of times, even in the ZVZ that I watched just this game before. If you're pushing out into your opponent just as their spire's sort of halfway done, finishing up, that is such a great time to be able to catch the Zerg trying to switch into a different tech. You can't do all 3 things at the same time in StarCraft. You can't macro and tech and have units. Like it, you got to choose your paths. And if you're caught out trying to be a little bit too greedy, going for the tech and the macro, and your opponent's pushing in and you're not ready for it, you're going to lose the game. It doesn't matter what matchup it is.
Yeah, great layered protection there and safety from Seither to close out that series. The tank on the high ground, an absolute hero. The Cyclone in the early stages denying the high ground vision. And the Banshees, of course, scouting out the follow-up waves, shutting them down and forcing Mio into the longer game. And Seither just picked his timing. He said, I've got the upgrades, the medevacs, the tanks, goes across the map, closes that one out. So a very nice victory for Seither, and one he's no doubt very happy with, as that, of course, does push him through in 2nd place of Group B. And we can see the rerun here. Good reaction on the Cyclone. Dodge that surprise Ravager Zergling attack. And I mean, just... he was prepared for every eventuality. He never sold the bunker. That tank, look at where the tank is. He's mining from his natural, and yet the tank was so far back out of bile range because he knew Mio was so likely to try a play like that. Seither so well prepared for his opponent. Great adjustments.
Absolutely, and I think, you look at the last series as well as this one, it's great that Mio's been able to pick up a map by catching him off guard with that queen push. But I feel like to characterize Seither versus me, Seither versus Mio, rather than CEO versus Seither, after watching 2 full series from them, I really do feel like unless Mio catches his opponent off guard in terms of Seither, if he's hitting a nice timing or a